I keep forgetting that Ellie Lewis said he and the Queen were best friends. Ellie Lewis, according to Yard Hype News, Ellie Lewis, it is reported that when Ellie Lewis heard that Queen Elizabeth II died, he had to be taken to the hospital. The news of Queen Elizabeth II's death appeared to have taken a toll on the health of Ellie Lewis because he had to be taken to the hospital. He is the self-proclaimed grandson of Queen Elizabeth. All right, folks, you can't make this stuff up. On Instagram, Ellie Lewis shared a photograph of himself seated in a chair while medical tests are being done. And according to him, this was done at the University Hospital of the West Indies. The caption read, "My fans, I take Granny death to heart." So, had to visit the hospital, had to visit the doctor for a checkup. Posted on YouTube, Ellie Lewis described the situation as being stressful and said that it is caused by many events occurring at once in his life. He also expressed that he deeply misses the Queen and that the Queen Elizabeth's death at Balmoral Castle in Scotland on Thursday at the age of 96 really impacted hard on him. She's considered to be the longest reigning British monarch, says Ellie Lewis. Oh my God, you can't make this stuff up. So I wonder if Ellie Lewis shares Queenie's sentiment of the Queen could do no wrong and that she was in her legal monarchy rights as the Queen to do whatever the hell she wants to do. Well, I guess as the self-proclaimed grandson of the Queen, I'm sure he shares Queenie's sentiments. But let me give Ellie Lewis just a little history of, let me see which country in Africa I'm going to choose, because Ellie Lewis said he took the Queen's death to heart. So this is just brief. I'm not going to get deep into it, but just kind of glossing over the surface. So Nigeria is a country in West Africa, and it was colonized by the British in 1884. This is why you find so many Nigerians. So the official language of Nigeria, the first language for the people to speak, is English. And can you imagine your ancestors' language was beaten out of you? That they instituted English throughout the schools and it's not native to the people? I mean, that is such an insult. In any event, the official language is English, but it is spoken less frequently in rural areas and amongst the people with lower education levels. Other major languages that are spoken in Nigeria is Hausa, Yoruba, Igbo, Fulfudu, Igbo, Kanuri, and Tiv. And so they were colonized by the British in 1884. And the colony was established at the Berlin Conference. You guys remember the Berlin Conference, where all these European nations got together and decided who was going to get which part of Africa, and they cut Africa up, and depending on if they were Dutch or speaking English, that's what the native Africans spoke, even though the name Africa is not. So the original name for Africa, as we know it today, it's called Africa, but the original name was Alkebulan. According to experts that research the history of the African continent, the original ancient name of Africa was Alkebulan. This name translates to Mother of Mankind, or according to other sources, the Garden of Eden. Extremely old word, and its origins are indigenous, meaning when they say indigenous in Wikipedia, it means that native to. The people who are native to Alkebulan are black people. The original name of the motherland. Okay? So that's how deep this thing gets. Anyway, getting back to this brief laying out of the English under Queen Elizabeth II in Nigeria. And Nigeria is not the original name. So, folks, as the story goes, according to Wikipedia, the name Nigeria was taken from the Niger River that runs through the country. And this name was allegedly coined in the late 19th century by British journalist Flora Shaw, who later married Baron Fredericks Lugard, a British colonial administrator. But that's beside the point. But this article is saying that the name Nigeria was coined by Flora Shaw, a journalist who took the name from the Niger River and named this country Nigeria. And we know the original name was not Nigeria. So there you have it, guys. Now you know, when you say Nigeria, you know that's not the original name for this country. It was part of the Benin Empire. The whole region was known as the Benin Empire. And that's another story of how the English went in there and overthrew and killed and looted and stole and conquered Benin. And so when they got in there, of course, the conquerors write books and they name places. Well, they conquered Benin and divided it up into different regions. And so we have now modern day Nigeria for a place that was not named Nigeria when our ancestors were alive. For that part of Africa, it's only after the English got in there, they changed the name to Nigeria. So moving forward to current day, a lot of people around Africa, the leaders, want the name change, especially the leaders of Nigeria. They want that name change because the name was coined by a white journalist, a white woman whose name was Flora Shaw. And so it's kind of insulting at this point that this country was named by this white woman who was a journalist, and she only called it Nigeria because it was close to the Niger River and the Niger River runs through it, so she called it Nigeria, and to reflect the name. And so a lot of leaders now are saying, let's change this name. It's not fitting and becoming for what we are as a people. And now there's a man by the name of Mr. Jokotuyu, and he wants the name to be changed to United African Republic. And I would say that that is a more fitting name, United African Republic. And so we're going to see moving forward how the powers that be in Africa, these African black leaders, how they navigate to change the name from Africa, that everybody embrace around the world, especially black people out of Africa. We talk about Africa and, the motherland and Africa, not knowing that that is not the original name. And now we talk about Nigeria, Nigeria this, Nigeria that. Come to find out, that is also not the original name, okay? So we are in a conundrum. So the British targeted Nigeria. They got their stake in Nigeria at the Berlin Conference, which divided Africa by European powers, right? I guess the best regions and the biggest areas went to the most powerful European nations. Like England was once a superpower. So, of course, England got the lion's share of the dividing up of Africa. So the British targeted Nigeria They targeted Nigeria because of the resources that Nigeria have, all the rich minerals, all the diamonds, all the, you name it, Nigeria has got it. Okay, it's a very rich country, and that's why the British is still in there, and all the other European countries are still digging out all the diamonds. Like the bears in England, they're still getting the diamonds out, and the people are getting nothing for their hard labor. The British wanted products like palm oil. Of course, they wanted the diamonds and the bauxite, etc., and the oil, not to mention the oil. So the British accomplished the colonization by using its military. And that's the thing that gets me with Caucasians. They always say that, oh, the Black Power movement was a movement that was indicative of Black people exercising negative activities and terrorism. And but the thing is, what they don't remember, that it took power all over the world with terrorism, with violence, with hate, with bigotry. Caucasians did not get power peacefully anywhere around the world. When you see Caucasians in a country, running the country, and living on the best land, and exporting all the natural resources, i.e., Africa, they did not get there peacefully or took over peacefully. It was by force. It was by military action. It was by guns. It was by killing, maiming, castrating, hanging, shooting, you name it. You named it, even raping. Okay? So let's not forget raping of Black women. But they did not gain power peacefully. So it always bothers me when we have our Black leaders coming out and saying, okay, like Malcolm X says, by any means necessary. He was thought of as this violent man, when in fact, that's the only language Caucasians understand, violence, because that's the way they take over power. So although there was strong resistance from the natives against the British, because let's be clear, people think that England and all these countries just walk into Africa and just, with guns and ammunition, shot the people down and put them in all these camps, and the takeover was nice and easy and smooth. No, it was not. Black people resisted for centuries, okay? It was not easy for the British to take over. They had to fight. This is why a lot of our people went down fighting, because they were not giving up their freedom easily. And so, although there was a strong resistance from natives against the British, it was the uprisings were crushed by the British because, of course, they had the guns, they had the modern machinery and ammunition to fight the native people of the land. And so they were able to crush the resistance time and time again, over and over. Even in South America, in Jamaica, Guyana, and all these places, there were resistance. There were people fighting against colonial rule, but they didn't have, like I said, they didn't have the necessary guns to really fight fairly. And that's another thing. The Caucasians don't fight fairly, okay? If you got 10 guns, they go in and get 100. If you got 100 guns, they go in and get a nuclear weapon, okay? Like they're going to drop a bomb on you. This is how they fight. Very unfair. It's not man-to-man combat, hand-in-hand combat. Their fight is always very unfair. So as a result of the resistance being crushed, the trading post at the Niger River was created, and the British economic rule was maintained over the colonies, exploiting Nigerians, not only the natural resources, but the people themselves. They got paid for hardly any labor post-slavery, and during slavery, nothing. They got nothing, just like how the black people here in America were exploited as free labor. It was the same in Nigeria. So after the British conquered the northern and the southern part of Nigeria, and the merging of the two to establish Nigerian colonies, if the British thought that they could not rule properly a large area, what they would do was divide up the area and rule small pockets of areas. In that way, they can control the insurrections. So the divide and rule policy was adopted by the British over the colonization of Nigeria. Because remember, Nigeria have over 200 million people. Guyana doesn't even have a million. That's how big Nigeria is, okay? This is why you find that Europeans are very intimidated by the continent of Africa because there are so many of us. And if you look at the scale of black people on the planet, we outnumber Europeans. So it's always a constant threat. If we ever get back power and we start ruling again, it's going to be thousands of years before they can even get back into power to dominate and rule the world, because they know that we outnumber them. So that was the policy: divide, conquer, and rule. And even today, we see it in certain pockets in America where the government, the police department will divide a community in order to conquer the instability within the community. In order for you to get a grips and control a crowd or a mob, you have to divide. When you divide, you conquer easily. And that was the policy in Nigeria under the British, under Queen Elizabeth II. So after the British got in there, they controlled the economy, they controlled the culture, they controlled the religion, and then they started to, after they controlled religion, and they started to convert the natives into Christianity, because Christianity is not native to Africa. The Caucasians brought it to Africa through their crusades. Okay? It's not native to Africa. And the reason why they brought it to Africa was they know that if they instituted Christianity and you are fearful of God, and they put their God up as Jesus Christ. Incidentally, Jesus Christ did exist, but he was never white, okay? He was not white. Jesus Christ was actually a black man, as it is in the Old Testament. The New Testament, they did not include it. But in the Old Testament, it describes Jesus. When you go to Spain, when you go to Ethiopia, there are pictures of Jesus, and Jesus is black. So when the Europeans got into Africa and they started to spread the gospel of a white Jesus, then they said there's the Holy Trinity, and Jesus Christ is the embodiment of God, God reincarnated. And if you worship God, you must worship Jesus Christ. And if you worship Jesus Christ, here's this white man in which you must worship. And so black people in Africa were brainwashed into believing that they have to worship a white man. So those who worship Jesus Christ today in the black community, there's nothing wrong with worshiping Jesus Christ, because Jesus Christ was righteous and he did existed. But there's something wrong in worshiping a white man and saying that's your God. And that's pretty much what you see in the black community. And that came out of Christianity, out of the Caucasians and the Pope, who set up Christianity for black people to be brainwashed. And if you control a person's mind, what do? You control the person. And if you can control most of the people within a given society, a given group, then those people can pass on their miseducation of the truth onto the new generation within their group. So Caucasians no longer had to beat and kill black people into believing that this white Jesus is God. Black people would teach the next generation that white Jesus is God and came in the flesh. So this false doctrine carried over to today. You find a lot of black people not only believe in this white Jesus as being God, but they have the white Jesus in their homes. And the irony is, if you go to Spain, in some of the churches have the black Jesus. When you go to Ethiopia, they have the black Jesus. So it's just it's just people are funny, and when you don't understand what you are believing in, or if you're not taught to believe the truth, then you can't blame the person. So I never blame people when they have this false doctrine. I blame the system for miseducating us. So a lot of this stuff is not being taught in school. You actually have to research the stuff and do your own education, because nobody's going to never teach you what actually is the truth. You yourself have to seek the truth, and the truth shall set you free. So under Queen Elizabeth, under slavery, this is what happened to the Nigerians. And over the years, when there comes a man who wants to change the plight of the native people of Nigeria, then the English, along with the Americans, step in and they do away with the person through either instability in the government, where they will either assassinate or exile the person to another country and put in their puppet government. So although the Queen is there, the legacy of the British Empire, while they were controlling not only Nigeria, but a lot of other countries in Africa and around the world, the legacy of poverty remains. And the practice were borrowed from Britain, from the British. Poverty today is largely broken down along racial lines. The British and their descendants still control the vast majority of the country's lucrative mines. So, black people don't have control of their own mines. Okay? Africa is a black nation, but the foreign invaders, England, went in and took over these mines in Nigeria and especially South Africa, took over the mines. It's like somebody coming to your home and telling you get the hell out. It's their home now. And there's nothing you can do about it because they got bigger and more powerful weapons. So when L.A. Lewis starts to cry for the Queen, I hope he shed at least one tear for his fellow Nigerians, South Africans, Jamaicans, West Indians, Caribbeans, Guyanese, you name it, across the board. YouTubers, I'm over and out. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to my channel and to this video. Thank you for watching.